So this video is going to show you basically what I'm sending you and how to put it together. This is a basin full of parts, and we'll go through these as we discuss the wicking well. This is the wicking well, which comes basically in two pieces, and I'll show you how to put it together. Okay, so this is the support, the base for the basin. This has a hole in it, as you can see here. You can put your hand through to get to the pump and to the other plumbing. It also comes in two pieces. This is one piece, and this is the other piece. Basically what you do is you put it with these crenellations on top, and I've got a little arrow to remind you which way that goes. You take this thing and expand it so that the cloth is tight, and it fits exactly in this basin at that point. You take this thing, which has an arrow on it, so that the holes will line up. You get yourself a drill or a screwdriver, and you put them on one side first and then screw it into the other side, and that'll keep a nice round basin. You don't have to do that, keep it that way, but you could actually just kind of have it be a smaller basin, but that's the way it was designed. Okay, so now you take the part that actually has the fish and the water in it, and you put it on top, and you line. Okay, I'm going to send you a pump that is unopened, but this is one that's already been opened. Note that there is this fitting at the top here that goes into it. It comes in the box, and it fits these pieces of plastic that I happen to use. There are various kinds, but the plastic that I'm sending you, you've got to actually use this little fitting or it won't work. Alright, so you've got to put this in the basin, in the base. Bring the cord out, like so, and then you just have to attach that to this and cut it to the right length, which I can do for you before I'll send it, which I probably will do. In fact, I could do it right now. I need to cut it This is an easy one, actually. It's right there. And by the way, these things don't have to be totally waterproof because the whole thing leaks all the time. But basically what we want to do is cut it right about, it comes down to just about there. So let's just cut it right about here and see if that works. And then we will push this on. And this has to be somewhat tight. You don't want it completely flowing out. And there's a washer on the inside, which is loose right now. And you have to kind of tighten it up just a little bit. Hand tight's good enough. And then you put this in. Connect the pump, and then put this thing on top of it, and you won't have all this slack because you've taken the slack out by putting this device in there to keep it rigid in a circle. You'll put this on here with these guys all lined up. You will put in the very top a drain. Alright, so this is the drain. Now what's going to happen here is we're going to put on the other side of this, we're going to put this thing like that, and you're going to be able to take the water from inside the pond and run it to the basin if it's running too fast and you don't want it to overflow. If your wicking is slow, basically what you want to do is keep the wicking slow enough to grow the plants, but the water high enough to make it attractive. And this drain here allows you to do that. You can adjust the height of the water by spinning this thing to the side, or you actually can turn it down if you want and really drop the water level, because the water is coming out. It'll siphon away out if you do it properly. But that's your drain. So you put one of these here. You'll screw this in here. You'll screw this in here. You can tighten it up later. You're going to take this little device I'm giving you, which has a bend in it. Sometimes you can buy these fittings with bends. You make it work. And so now you've got, and this just comes down and goes through this hole, or you can put it right in there, but you need to make sure it stays inside, and so you can do things to make sure that it stays inside, which are essentially, you can staple it, you can put this stuff around it, you can cut a hole through this and put it in there, but basically you want to make sure that that doesn't drain to the ground. You want it to drain inside, and then you put this cloth, you tuck it in around the base of the basin, and you won't have this slack because the basin base will be wider than it is here because I haven't installed that stabilizer. And then And now you will have a wicking well with a drain and an intake. So the pump, when you plug it in, will turn on if there's water in the basin. If there's no water in the basin, it'll turn off. It's got this little magic eye which turns it on and off whether there's water or not, so it can't burn out. So now you've got to put in the put in the fountain part. So as you know, I put the thing in the base in the middle. This will go into the other side. And now you have your fountain part. Now, that whole thing can work without any additional assistance. However, you can keep it automatically watered with this livestock watering valve, which I just love. And the way you do that, you can follow the instructions. I will grab, this is another one of my livestock watering valves. It's kind of interesting, this thing. It has a specific way to use it that where you can use with a hose. It has a little hose attachment. Unfortunately, the hose attachments break very easily. So you can use it, and you can attach your hose right to it. It's threaded for hose threads, and that's fine. I usually use it with a bathroom grade attachment, because it's especially threaded for bathrooms here at the end. And then you can use some fittings and hook it to your hose. And if you hook it to a hose with metal fittings and metal washing machine hoses, then even when it freezes, it won't break. So basically, then what this is an air pressure sensitive water valve. It has to be put upright, so it has to go like this in an upright fashion inside, and then you need to put on the outside of it both of these things. This thing here is a collar that you need to put on it, as well as this thing, which also because it's such a thin tank. And then this thing screws onto it as well. And basically you can see these little ridges here. It allows air, there's also a little hole here. It allows air to get into the mechanism in a way which is watertight. And it then produces a differential between the air pressure and the water pressure, and it raises the water to match the air pressure. And it's an amazingly cool device. And so it's really important to read the instructions. It's important to keep the instructions. There are maintenance instructions in it as well, and it ought to be cleaned about once a year. When it fails in the on position, so your water will just start running, it'll start overflowing, and you'll notice it right away. So, you put one of those in here, and you either use the device and hook it to your hose, or you buy, I'm not going to send you this, you buy some metal hose and hook it up there. I would just go ahead and utilize this little plastic thing until it breaks, but it will break, trust me. Okay, so you've got the water thing in here, you've got the drain, you've got the pump, you've got everything ready to go. I'm going to ship it off.